In the last part, we saw that Chu Qiao was remembering Xiaoche and saying that, "Forgive me for not being able to send you off. Take care." Chu Sui stepped up, and with deference, she firmly declared, "Lady." After you left, His Majesty began to build this place, and after over 2 years, it was finally done. Many servants knelt on the ground and kowtowed upon seeing Chu Qiao arrive. Chu Qiao walked along, only to see that the palace was constructed using sandalwood and lighting was encapsulated in crystals, with fragrance exuding from the walls. The waves of the Vels looked like a sea, and large crystals were embedded in the walls, emitting a weak light as though they were the moon in the night. There was a multicolored bird carved on the central pillar, decorated by golden powder gleaming in the shine of the candlelight. At the side, there were drawings of Yulin flowers. The display had probably been aptly soaked with the Yulan aroma oils, as the fragrance of the flower wafted in the area. She was suddenly reminded of that night when he had childishly snatched the headdress of the maidservants and stuck it along with a flower into her head. I hereby specially decree that you, Lady Chu, for your diligence, wisdom, honorable conduct, along with your kindness and generosity, I will bestow upon you the title of May you be blessed forever. Below those scripts, there was the sign of Shoqi's stamp, and only the title was not filled up. Sun Di walked up and firmly informed, on that day, His Majesty had not decided on the title, even after discussing with others multiple times, and even the ceremonial department sent some suggestions. His Majesty was still displeased, and as a result, it was left blank. Who knew, after delaying, he had lost the chance forever? Chu Qiao quietly stood there, and the light gently shone on her pale face. Biting her lips, her finger held the piece of paper with all her force, that even her knuckle turned white. Within the room, there were all kinds of rare treasures dowries that he had prepared for her. It was apparent that those items had been stored here for a long time. Her tear glands started to warm up as her brows furrowed up. Her voice was deep, with a slight tremble, as she calmly said, "Since I had not been given a title, that matter shall be left to rest. Do not bring it up again." Sun Di nodded. "Lady, you are indeed wise. It is pretty late already. Please rest. This subordinate will leave first." As he finished his sentence, he left. The maroon door slammed shut. The boom seemed like a distant thunder rolling past the floor of the mansion. Mei Xiang walked over with a letter in her hand while frowning. "Miss, Master Yuwen sent letters again." Chu Qiao's expression softened. Receiving the letter, she clenched it in her fist, but did not open up to read its contents. The cold sweat in her palm soaked into the letter, turning it slightly moist. Mei Xiang frowned and reminded her, "Miss, this is the 9th letter. If you do not reply, Master Yuwen will get worried." Quietly sitting there, Chu Qiao did not respond. Her eyes stared at the candlelight by the window, as though her mind was lost in thought. Yanboi and the Wei empires resumed their battles. Below Yanming Pass, there had already been 4 battles. The front lines stretched all the way to the south side of Batuha lands, along with the Mu family in Lingnan and the young master of Jinghan, Yuan. Yang had commanded the entire strength of the southwest forces. They stood opposing Yuwen Yue and Yuan Che's northern forces at the Phoenix Tower. The situation in Wei was extremely volatile, as though things could fall apart any time. The emperor had been sick for too long and had already not appeared in court for over 1 year. Wei Guang had claimed that he was sick too and had stepped away from the limelight of politics. Who knows what this cunning old fox was plotting? At this moment, the entire scene in the Wei Empire was like a can of gunpowder. The moment anyone struck even a single match, it would explode into a fireball of chaos. This point was something that even she could understand. How could he not? Mei Xiang could not help but ask, "Miss, what are we doing now?" Chu Chao's vision turned to her, with frost in her gaze. Slowly and coldly, Chu Chao spat out only one word: "Wait." The succession ceremony of the new emperor was to be held the next day. In the gigantic palace, a young kid was sitting on the huge dragon throne. Behind the veils that were situated at the back of the throne, there were 2 neatly dressed women. They were the mother of the emperor, Empress Yuwen, and noble consort Zhan. In the spacious palace, Zhan Ziyu, as the king of Shenzhen, sat quietly with his figure along causing pressure. His jet black clothes were embroidered with 6 dragons, and his lips were curled up in an almost undetectable smile, utterly confident in himself. As Xiaoche had never declared his empress, and he had no siblings, along with the fact that his death was all too sudden and even the previous empress had passed on, there was no other choice but to instate the eldest son, Li Xiuyi, as the emperor. The mother of the eldest son, Lady Yuan, was from the lowest class, and was not judged to have the blue royal blood that fully qualified her to listen to the morning court. As such, Lady Ming became the stepmother to the young emperor and would supervise the morning court. The emperor was merely 6 years out. With the 2 ladies listening on the national matters, it became clear as day that others had grasped the actual authority. Empress Yuan had no family, so the entire power was in the hands of the Zhan siblings, who had been exiled to beyond the Tang Empire prior. The changes in the politics were so quick and furious, much like the deep undercurrents of the oceans. One could never see them coming, yet they were swift and deadly. The loyal subordinates of the previous emperor were undoubtedly suppressed. Most of them were locked up by the court and investigated based on suspicion of assisting the Luo king during the rebellion. All the servants that were by Shaoqi's side on the day of his passing were beheaded, and all the ladies of the harem were chased out of the palace and were forced to convert to nuns. The new rulers had created a stir, sweeping through the Liang Empire like a typhoon. The cold sword of death hung by a hair above the entire Liang Empire, and anyone who dared oppose the new rule would be awarded death. Under this ruthless rule, many hesitating old officials changed their sides, and even after the morning court, they would crowd at the residence of the king of Shenzhen like a pack of wolves. What surprised Chu Chao was that under such a situation, the first person to stand out and oppose this was Elder Liu, who had repeatedly gone against Xiaoko. On the 1st of September, before the gates of Jinwu Palace, Elder Liu scolded that the Zhan siblings were the people who had staged everything, and the first assassination was full of suspicious points. Zhan Ziyu, Zhan Ziming were traitors who deserved to die. After saying that, he slammed himself onto the blades of their guards while shouting the name of Emperor Xiao Qi. With that, he died on the spot. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with me, subscribe to the channel, and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified of the next part of the story. Thank you.